Hello, and welcome to the first module in the Live Your Magic workshop. Today we're going to focus on some foundational elements in living a magical life. The topics of this lesson are grounding, the home and creating sacred space, and self-care.
So we are going to start off with grounding, as it is the foundation for so many other techniques such as visualization, meditation, and mindfulness. Grounding means to connect to the earth beneath you. The goal of grounding is to send any negative energy into the ground where it will be broken down and rendered inert. This is in much the same way that the earth breaks down plant and animal matter and turns it into nutrients for the rest of the plants around it. Grounding has been found to have possible health benefits beyond just emotional ones and magical ones, which is the purpose that we're going to go into it for this course. You ground when you are feeling overwhelmed, disappointed, angry, or otherwise emotions that are negatively affecting you. Now, I'm not advocating for cutting out all negative emotions. However, if they are getting in the way of you living purposefully, it's good to release them. Grounding can also help if you're feeling too much of a good thing. It allows you to siphon off the excess emotions so that you can think clearly. Grounding is as simple as placing your feet on the bare earth and imagining roots growing from your feet and into the ground. You then will push your negative or excessive energy into the ground. You can imagine that energy as a dark cloud or a swirling form, or you can experience it as a smell or an emotional feeling. Then imagine that energy being pushed out of your body into the ground. Once in the ground, it starts to break down and dissipate into the rich earth. If you can't go barefoot on the earth, you can use the power of your visualization to get the same benefits of grounding. We'll cover visualization in the next module, but briefly, here all you need to do is imagine that the ground beneath your feet is rich black earth. Imagine that your feet are bare and are in contact with this earth. Then imagine the roots coming out of your feet into the soil. Continue with the rest of the grounding technique to push the unwanted energy into the earth. When you are done with pushing the energy into the earth, imagine your roots drawing back up into your feet. You can then go on with the rest of your day. Once you get practiced at it, grounding can take as little as 30 seconds. What I want you to do now is pause the video and then practice grounding. You don't need to push any energy into the earth if you don't have anything to get rid of right now. I just want you to practice visualizing those roots going into the earth and then withdrawing them back up into your feet. Now that you have come back, I want you to put grounding into your mental toolbox. You are going to bring it out whenever you feel overwhelmed, anxious, sad, angry, or any other emotion that isn't serving you. You're going to ground yourself when you feel these things and then go on your way. This is your first technique in living a magical life, and it's going to help you in so many ways as it gives you time to pause, reflect, and then move on to centering yourself. Grounding reminds you of the magic inside yourself because you have this power to take those negative emotions and release them to be transmuted. Now that we have learned about grounding, we're going to move our focus over to the home. Being secure and comfortable in our homes is so important that I wrote a whole book about it, The Scent of Lemon and Rosemary. We spend so much of our time in our homes that we can't really talk about living a magical life without addressing it. You can help secure your home with objects like crystals and plants. For example, you can plant yarrow around your home to protect it, or you can place black tourmaline in your windows and by your doors to block out any negative energy or malicious magic that might be targeted at you. If you're interested in more information about how to magically protect your home, I have a whole workshop based on that. It's aptly named Magical Home Protection, and there will be a link to that course in the lesson transcript. But when we talk about the home and enchanting your life, we need to talk about cleaning. As boring as that is, cleaning is important. And the first way that you can incorporate magic into your life is by making your chores magical. There are a lot of different ways that you can do this, starting with adding moon or sun water to your cleaning supplies. Moon and sun water are made by placing a jar or a bowl of water out during a full moon or at noon so that the energies of the moon or sun can infuse the water. Then you store your water in a jar with a tightly fitting lid. The water then can be used for cleansing and cleaning. Another way you can create magical cleansing liquid is you can add lemon juice, sprigs of rosemary, and salt to your water to make a wash for your doors and windows. And then, during the waxing moon, you wash all the entrances to your home with that water to cleanse and protect them. When you're doing this, make sure to pour a little of the water down drains and flush it down the toilet, as those can be entryways for negative energy as well. For me, no chore is worse than dusting. I hate it because it seems like a never-ending task. But I've changed my way of thinking about dusting and now see it as removing stagnant energy. This can help you when you're tackling your household chores. While you may be engaging in mundane activity of cleaning, you are also magically cleansing your space. The same goes with sweeping. You aren't just gathering up dirt and pet hair, you are also cleansing the floor and space. Also, include some cleansing activities with your cleaning. You can use sound or smoke cleansing to go through the rooms and get any last stagnant energy out of the house. Make sure when you are cleansing that you open a window, even if it's just a crack, so that there is a place for the energy that you are chasing out to go. And don't forget to get into the cupboards and closets as well when you are cleansing. Finally, when you finish cleaning, make sure to lay down a protective layer. You can use incense, room spray, or even just steam from tea to protect your newly cleansed spaces. I recommend cleaning at least once a month, although more often is better as the dust and negative energy tends to gather a lot more quickly than you would think. All this cleaning is just a way of establishing sacred space in your home, but that is not the only way you can sanctify where you live and work. Let's turn our attention now to sacred spaces. The very first thing that usually comes to mind when talking about sacred space is an altar. Personally, I feel that altars fall into the nice to have if you're going to maintain it category. If it just becomes a place to trap dust and dead flowers, then it isn't really helpful and will just add to your sense of anxiety and obligation. So first decide if you really want an altar. Think about what it is you hope to gain from it, and think about where you want to put it. Take into consideration, are you going to be able to maintain it? Is it something that you're going to spend certain amount of time each day or each week or each month at? And if not, if you set up an altar and you find that it's been months since you've done anything with it, that might be a clue that an altar is not how your magic manifests. So altars come in all types. There are ancestral altars, elemental altars, deity altars. Like, if you can think it, you can make an altar to it. When thinking about if you really want an altar, think about what the kind you would like. So for the examples that I said before, very briefly, you got ancestral altars that are good to connect to the wisdom of those who came before you. And they don't have to be dedicated to blood relations. Those in the past that you feel kinship to, such as people you admire, people who have done the sort of things that you want to do, that kind of thing, they can be ancestors as well. So don't feel like if you don't have a good relationship with your family, that you can't have an ancestral altar. Another altar, elemental altars, are just exactly what they sound like. They're just altars that balance the four elements, and these can be as grand or as simple as you want. You don't have to get totally fancy with them. Deity altars are they're altars that are dedicated to an individual deity or multiple deities. So if you're going to work with a god or goddess, you might want to have a physical space where you connect to them on a frequent basis. We're going to talk about working with deity later in the course, but these are just examples for you to consider as you are going through the course of what kind of altar that you would like to have. Ideally, the altars should provide you with a place to connect with your magic and the divine, if you so choose. They're magical workspaces, and they should be treated as such. But when we talk about magical sacred space, I like to focus on the places where you spend a lot of time. That's how you're going to enchant your life. You're going to look at the places where you spend the majority of your time. So the very first one that I think of when I'm thinking of sacred space is my bed. You spend a good portion of time in your bed, and so it should be set up to meet your sleep needs. You should have bed linens that are comfortable and that make you happy. You can make yourself a lavender linen spray to spray down your linens before you get into bed to help you sleep. And I'll have in the handout, there will be a recipe for you to make your own linen spray. And then before you go to bed, you spray down your bed. You are then consecrating it towards your sleep and to restful sleep. Another place where you can create sacred space is the kitchen table. When you eat, you're engaging in a magical act. So take the time to set your table accordingly. Use dishes that you enjoy. Use a tablecloth or placemats or cloth napkins to elevate the experience of dining. We'll talk about gratitude in a later module, but briefly, take the time to give thanks when you're eating. You can thank any deity that you're working with, or the universe in general, or even just thank the food on your plate. Whatever you do, approach your kitchen table and meals with gratitude to then create that sense of sacred space when you're sitting down to eat. Finally, let's talk about your workspace. While it's not part of your home, it is where you spend the majority of your time when you're not at home. I know that it's hard to view anything to do with employment as magical, but you can add reminders to your workspace to enchant your life even on the job. So things like add crystals such as citrine or a jade plant to your desk, which will bring in success energies to your job. If you are having problems with coworkers or bosses not respecting your boundaries, put a cactus in your workplace to get that protective energy in there. If you have a job that doesn't come with a desk or an office, you can look into other ways to enchant your time there. Things like adding sigils to clipboards or the back of your name tag. The important thing is what will make this sacred space is that when you look at these magical additions, you are reminded why you put them there. And that is the part of intention that we talk about in magic and in witchcraft and in life in general, that you are working with intention towards a particular goal. And this applies especially to creating sacred space. The last topic we are going to cover in this module is the idea of self-care. Society has really bought into the idea that self-care means buying something for ourselves. But self-care really is a concept divorced from consumerism when you get down to it. Self-care is really a response to and a defense against capitalism and all it entails. We sell our time and labor for wages that often do not fairly compensate us for that, and so self-care helps us to recover. Self-care in and of itself is magical, but we need to remove the price tag to see the benefits. Magical self-care requires nothing more than intention and what you already have on hand. Starting with baths and showers, you can create a magical self-care routine by making a bath or a shower bag. Fill a drawstring cotton pouch with salt, dried lavender or eucalyptus, and a piece of bloodstone or aventurine. Close the drawstring and let it float in your bath or hang it under your shower head. And when you are bathing, imagine the protective energies of the ingredients in the shower bag infusing your body. We also need to talk about exercise, eating right, and taking care of our bodies when we talk about self-care. Your body is your most powerful magical tool, and taking care of it is of vital importance. Engaging in meditation, which we'll cover in the next module, grounding, exercise, and eating right helps to keep you healthy. You can make all of these magical, from choosing foods with various magical properties to engaging in walking meditations to get your steps in. And finally, we come to sleep. Sleep is possibly the most important aspect of self-care. Not only does it help us recover from the day's events, but our dreams allow us to tap into deep creative and subconscious parts of our minds. Taking time to set up a sleep routine that helps ease you into sleep is an important aspect of self-care. If you have a hard time getting to sleep at night, create a sleep tincture to take before bed. I have a recipe for a sleep tincture that I will be in the handout for this module. As with everything else we have discussed in this module, self-care is taking into account intention. So when you wash your face, when you brush your teeth, when you take time to think about yourself first, throw intention into that. Think about how you can make it magical. It doesn't always require crystals or herbs or tools. You can just use the power of your mind and your intention to then make whatever task you are engaged in magical. We start with grounding because it is a technique that will help in the others throughout the rest of the course. And we focus on the home and self-care in this first lesson because they are usually places where we have the most control over. Now that you have finished with the lecture portion of this lesson, I want you to take time filling out the self-assessment exercise and doing the hands-on exercise. You will also want to check out the lesson transcript for a few links and the resources section for further reading. Remember to be kind to yourself throughout this course and give yourself grace if you need it. I'll see you in the next module.